across still glad to boat up across a field and park if they needed to. These riverboat captains were the biggest braggers you had ever. I mean, you read some of the comments, are like, this is hilarious. And so there was one other thing I want to read. By 1893, Captain Taber wasn't moving fast enough to clear the river out, and he wasn't using dynamite quick enough, and so they were complaining to get rid of Captain Taber. And so this is what he did in December 29th, 1893. He published this in it was in the Little Rock Gazette and also in the Yellville newspaper, Mountain Echo. Captain Taber is a knot on a log, and not only someone, we need to have someone not only the nerve to kick him vigorously, but to knock him off that log. The Echo had the nerve, and we have led the kick. They're pretty proud of themselves. Our senators and representatives have secured him for a 6-month leave of absence, which means it is his permanent retirement. They were gloating that they got rid of Captain Taber. What they didn't know, over the past 3 years, Captain Taber had been dealing with what they thought maybe was malaria, and at age 44, he went to his commander and said, I am sick. I cannot do anymore. People are coming to my door day and night, needing stuff on the river. I've been here 10 years. I need a leave of absence. I need to go to San Antonio to some drier air and rest. So he went to San Antonio. The day this came out, he went to San Antonio on sick leave. He would never say a disparaging word about anybody. The railroads were happy that he left. They said, good riddance to Captain Taber. So here he is, April 11th. He's laying in a hospital bed in San Antonio, Texas. And I need to say this before I get there. As a part of the YMCA, there were only 3 YMCAs in the United States at that time that were YMCAs for African Americans. I found this out 2 days before my thesis was due. I had to shift and finagle stuff. Things just came to light. He was the secretary for a black YMCA, a white man, a captain of the Corps of Engineers, was the secretary of the YMCA. He was assigned as a delegate to show up in Dallas, Texas on April 12th and give the benediction, opening prayer for the big convention of the YMCA. The day before, he told his wife, Libby, I'm sick, I'm doing fine, would you go in my place? A woman went on the floor of the delegation floor, represented Arkansas, and gave a prayer in 1894. She was the only woman that spoke that whole session. This is unique. That morning, she was notified later that morning that her husband, at the age of 44, passed away in San Antonio, Texas. Do you need to leave? No. I am supposed to be here, and he expects me to be at this convention. The mayor was so moved, he sent word to her in Dallas, Texas, do not take him back to his home in New York. We will bury him in Little Rock at Mount Holly. Mount Holly is about a 1/4 mile from his house. He was buried a week later with military honors. There were everyone from Arkansas was there, even the railroad executives, with hat in hand, and they were very politically correct and nice, giving out condolences and everything else. This is Libby. This is Libby. This is right after he passed away. I got a hold of the family, and I got a hold of her picture. I said, do you have any pictures of Libby? And a great-grandson said, I have one picture of her. Would you like to have it? I said, I will put it in my thesis. I will publish it in my thesis. This is Libby. She's a pretty nice-looking lady. Look at that. So The YMCA did a certain thing. In San Antonio, Texas, she is the first one to ever do something here. The YMCA nominated her to the railroads, to work for the railroads, to be the first matron of the railroads for Arkansas, and they took her because she knew how to work with people. So what is a railroad matron? She arrives at the railroad station, she helps the sick, she feeds people who are coming in. If they're poor, if they're destitute, she takes care of the young kids that are going back and forth in transit. And her number one duty is to watch out for the young ladies coming through, making sure they do not fall in to destitute hands. These matrons were watching for these young ladies coming through, that they would not get into prostitution and sexual trafficking. She was the guard dog in Little Rock to make sure that all girls had their virtues intact. After she did it, San Antonio heard about what she was doing. The YMCA in San Antonio nominated one of their ladies, and she was the next railroad matron down in San Antonio for the Missouri Pacific. And so this lady had character. She did this to the day she died, and she was very well honored, and you never heard the railroad saying a disparaging word about her or Captain Taber. Everything was beautiful and nice. And you start reading newspaper articles after that and going, wow, things really changed here. Her husband was dead. So the competition was gone, but they realized such an impact that he and her had. I mean, they're right next to the governor. They went through 5 governors. 5 governors. Governors only lasted 2 years during his stay there. He lasted 10. He went through 5 of them. And she was very influential. So not only did I start learning about Captain Taber, I learned about his family and his wife. And so this is the reach of the railroad. So you have the railroad going through there. The railroad's saying this is what we affect. This is 1881. Still 84, 81. This is my favorite site in Little Rock, Arkansas. This is at Mount Holly Cemetery, and you'll see there at the bottom it says Captain Taber. He entered the U.S. Military Academy, West Point, New York, June 13, 1869, graduated June 13, 1873. This is what's written on the stone.
You have it
Second,
1969 there.
it does, doesn't it?
Okay.
Wow.
I was typing up really quick last night. Let's see, second in class, okay. Second in class, he was assigned to the Corps of Engineers. His entire career was wonderfully successful. He was the most energetic man, honest, upright, and Christ-like. His large heart and deep sympathy led many souls out of the darkness into light. He put on the whole armor of God at 9 years of age, and life's battles was faithfully fought and the victory won.
Wow.
Captain Taber, this is the first thing I saw. I'm like, what is this Yankee doing in this Confederate cemetery? This is the first thing that caught my eye right there. His motto, stand up for Jesus. His daily life was such that there was never a cloud between him and God. His life is his monument.
Wow.
Boy, that just kind of like, whoa! So that's what really captured my imagination of seeing that right there. And so the next thing we're going to do, we're going to sing a hymn. I'm going to give an altar call, but in the spirit of Captain Taber. But I have literally found out you do not write a thesis on your own. I'll tell you what, I had help from the Lord. I'll just be honest with you. There would be times all of a sudden, there was that, oh my goodness, there was no way, because your brain, sometimes you go, you're kind of at the end of your road, and what else am I going to pull up here? And all of a sudden, things would just literally boom, and I'd have these epiphanies. And I had great support from my family, and I will tell you what, I would just get phone calls. I made friends with archivists in archives down in Little Rock. I would stop by and I would get these cheap cookies, but there were still soft cookies from Walmart, and I would go to the archives with cookies. Cookies work. Chocolate chip cookies work. And so, but I made friends with this one archivist down in Little Rock at the Corps of Engineers. I could not find some of these maps, and one day she called up, she says, "You never guess what I'm looking at." I said, "What?" She says, "I'm looking at your 1888 maps." I said, "Where were they?" She says, "Well, we didn't have them, because they told me they didn't have them." I said, "Where were they?" She says, "Oh, they were in a box in a warehouse." And she said, "It looks like everything's there, but we haven't opened it up." She says, "We decided we were going to let you open it up."
Oh.
And so I went down there, and there it was. And when I got there were people waiting. I'm like, "You guys are waiting for something? We were waiting for you to open up that map. Hurry!" So I had these engineers, and I had a commander in there, and I'm like, "Guys, just one moment. I'm feeling Jesus right here. Got goosebumps." And so open that up, and it's just one of those moments like, oh my goodness, thank you, Lord. There it was. And then there was other times there was another map I was trying to get a hold of, and there was a guy that actually had it, and it was in Germany. He had a Corps of Engineers map in Germany, and he wanted to sell it for $5,000. And so I went to the Corps and said, "He's trying to sell that map to me." "Is he?" I'm like, "Yes." "That's illegal. We'll get our attorneys on it right now." "Really?" And so they got a hold of him, and so it's not for sale on the internet anymore. I don't know what he's going to do with it, but all of a sudden I had access to go to their map room after about a year and a half. They showed me where the key was at, and I can walk in there and get the key and go in there and go through their map room. And I started going through different things. I started finding maps and stuff in there that I've always wanted to see and touch and play with, and where you're not really supposed to, and you can touch them. And so it's really, really cool. But you never write stuff. You never do a thesis on your own. It takes favor, and it takes a lot of people to help you out, because you realize there's no way you can do it on your own. And so I want to thank you very much for everyone listening to me ramble. And so I appreciate it. Thank you.